Absolutely a case. I mean, I have never seen NPP present very weak candidates to a national election like this. I mean, whichever candidate they actually choose, I don't think that they're in a poor position. I mean, let's look at what Sami was actually saying, talking about a stable, currency. Everybody knows that this government is not meeting its debt obligations. So certainly, you would have a stable currency. We have an IMF, support coming in. Majority of the expenditure, as we're seeing, is not coming from individuals, it's coming from government. Why wouldn't you have a stable currency for the past 8 months? So it's definitely not the reality. If we're talking about the ideal situation where government is meeting the debt, obligations, where we have everything as normal, you're not going to have the city, being stable like this. So certainly, economic management has been in shambles, and I'm surprised that they are trying to tout, Dr. Baomia's credentials. I have never heard him speak on the economy since the economy started being in tatters. I mean, let us be frank. Whenever they have spoken, they have actually attributed the situation to Ukraine and, of course, to COVID. But everybody knows that that's not the reality. That's not the truth. They have mismanaged this economy. Of course, if you look at the other candidate, Dr. Efri Akoto, nobody can tell you that that sector had never performed. The planting for food and jobs had been in shambles. He had actually come out with a very knee-jerk strategies, carting food from the village to the city center to Accra, just a 9-day wonder, nothing happened. So I don't think that they are telling the truth. Obviously, it's their work. They're supposed to protect their candidate. But I think that this is the first time in the life of the NPP presenting very weak candidates. So definitely it's not a blessing, it's a curse.
So if it's a curse for them, it must then be a blessing for Kennedy Japan and possibly a Dynamo who can then flip that and use that in their favor.
Well, of course, I mean, if you listen to what Kennedy is saying, it looks like he's reflecting on the people's, thinking. I mean, Kennedy seems to be telling or saying the right things because the entire country feels that this government has actually disappointed. And Kennedy seems to be the only one who seems to be on the part of the people. And so saying the right thing. But of course, people would also question his judgment in terms of, obviously, his temperament, in terms of his character, based on quite a number of things that people have heard him say on the media front. The kind of things that he had said, the kind of things that he seems to have actually, sort of, I don't know how to put it, but sort of encouraged, to have happened in this country. So there are quite a lot of questions that people are actually putting across. And when Sami was actually talking about the money not actually being an influence, and no, I think not Sami, but I think Justin Podio was actually talking about the money not being an influence. I mean, if someone is actually paying transportation, and then when you put it together, a huge sums of money, it is making others not coming into the competition. There are some people, genuine people, who would have loved to be part of the, presidential candidates, but they look at that sums of money and said, I'm not going into the political arena because that's how much I need to bring. So it's not about, the one who paid less, end up winning. It's about the money preventing genuine people from contesting, presidential candidate. And it's about the legitimacy of the electoral process. That's what we're talking about. It's not about how much can they pay. Even if you pay 5 cities, you have illegitimized the democratic processes that we have. Why don't you leave, if you think it's about paying people transportation, etc., why don't you leave that to the political parties themselves? If the parties feel that they have to bus people and to make the process go on, then let us devise a certain mechanism where the party takes the responsibility. But you do not let political candidates themselves give money to people because it is something to do that will facilitate their voting. That is wrong. That is actually undermining the democratic processes. If you look at the Westminster Foundation report about the cost of politics in this country, you'll be marveled, you'll be shocked how much money that political individuals or political candidates are supposed to pay just to contest. And this is not a secret. This is the reality. Everybody knows it. So it doesn't matter how you color it, how you define it. Certainly, there is huge monocracy in our political system, and it's undermining democracy in this country. The political parties actually stop that.